This episode of the Wise Guy Radio Show is brought to you by American Helix. The American Helix is a revolutionary new concept in smoking technology. Based on Bernoulli's principle, the shape of the pipe creates a Venturi effect, causing a swirling motion of the smoke through precision microholes that are produced for the intake system. This results in a slower burn that conserves tobacco and gives a smooth, refreshing smoke, making the Helix the smoothest hitting pipe on the market. For further info or to locate their products, you can find them on Facebook at facebook.com/SS Helix or contact them. signaturehelix@gmail.com. That's signaturehelix@gmail.com. This episode of the Wise Guy Radio Show is brought to you by Mountain Glass Arts. For the month of July 2016, Mountain Glass is offering Golden Gate Glassworks tubing for 20% off. Just put in the code GOLDENGATE, that's GOLDENGATE at checkout. And for all you soft glass nerds, they have their Double Helix Glassworks sale going on, 15% off. Just put in the code DHELIX, that's DHELIX at checkout. And for any other questions or concerns, go to mountainglass.com. That is mountainglass.com. Hey, what's happening? Welcome to the Wise Guy Radio Show, episode number 118. This is Jay Michael, your host. Thank you so much for tuning in today. With 17 years of experience behind the torch, I am as excited as always to bring you conversations with artists, sharing their stories in hopes to inspire and entertain while helping you grow your business. And today is no exception. Today's episode features Chris Piazza, also known as Crispy or Crispy Glass. He's a Chicago-based glass artist. He's got an incredible story and has lots to share. We cover the basis, everything from his humble beginnings all the way to where he is now, where he has a home, that he has a studio inside of his garage with 3 other artists under his wing that he is teaching, and has a full-time business and has been able to scale it and make a good living doing this. And I hope you guys enjoy and take a lot away from this. A lot of bullet points and just fun conversation in general, covering topics like how to treat your glass and how to treat your torch, how to treat your employees, how to treat your customers, all that good stuff. And so, yeah, hope you guys enjoy that. Also, I was thinking, before I forget, I wanted to share an idea I had for a Christmas in July Secret Santa trade, where basically the idea would be that I would need everybody listening to the show that would be interested in participating in this, and this is a worldwide idea, is for you all to contact me either through my email address, which is info@wiseguyradio.com, info@wyzguyradio.com, or you can also send me a direct message on the Wise Guy Radio Facebook page. And basically what I would need is your shipping information, and then what we would do is match you up randomly with somebody else who has contacted me to be a part of this. And then the two of you would receive each other's shipping information and then would make something, a pendant of some sorts, and then send it to each other. And I thought it'd be kind of fun if we could do this because, again, this is being listened to internationally. I mean, literally, in I think it's around 38 countries now around the world that are listening to the show. So I think it'd be pretty badass for someone here in the States to get something from somebody over from, say, Dubai or from Japan or whatever. So if you were interested in participating in this, I would just like some feedback also. But if you are interested in doing this, let me know, please. So send me an email, info@wiseguyradio.com, or send me a direct message on the Facebook page for Wise Guy Radio. I will have a link to the Facebook page in the show notes, as well as my email address in there. And if you send me your information, I will promise you I will not share it with anybody else out there ever. Your stuff is safe with me. And also by signing up or sending me your email address, it will also get you signed up for our newsletter, which would be fun too, because then you can stay on top of everything. And I will be sharing this also in the newsletter that's coming out here pretty soon. So just wanted to pass that along to you all before I forget about it. And other than that, before I keep rambling on, I'll let you guys get on with the show. It's episode 118, again, featuring Chris Piazza. And hope you all enjoy. Love you all. Thank you so much for tuning in. Share with your friends and family. Subscribe to iTunes if you have an iPhone. Also find the show on Stitcher if you have a Droid, and also at Google Play. And pretty soon, the show will be available on iHeartRadio, which is pretty sweet. Some new, exciting news coming out here for all of us podcasters. So stay tuned for more of that. And until then, we'll see you on episode 119. But for now, enjoy it with Chris Piazza. Love you guys. Peace. Hey, Chris, how's it going, brother?
Not too bad, not too bad. How you doing?
Pretty good, man. Yeah, welcome to the show. Appreciate you having you on and taking some time out of your day to come chit-chat and take. I'm sure it's hot as hell up there, so we're all getting little breaks right now from the studio time, man.
No doubt. Yeah, it's muggy as hell. We're supposed to be getting rain and 100 degrees, so oh yeah, it'll be a fun one today.
Yeah, sounds like right now how we are, dude. It's been like sprinkling here and there, and then it turns into a fucking sauna. It sucks.
Yeah, just like give us like 3 hours of rain so it can cool off, right?
Yeah, exactly. It'd be nice.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, dude. So before we get too out of whack here, if you want to kind of give us your superhero origin story in a sense, and where you got started doing glass, and who introduced you, if there was somebody that introduced you, and we'll kind of go from there with it.
Sweet deal. Yeah. So you know, I don't know. We were just kind of thinking back about when I first saw like glass or whatever. Like I don't know, going way back, I always like my mom had this like filigrana egg that like I always was attracted to, and I don't know, it was always a weird thing. Like I wasn't allowed to touch glass as a kid. You know, I always had to use a plastic cup, and like I don't know, always grabbing for the glass. And whatever. I guess goes way back. But you know, the first time that like I really thought of glass or whatever was when I was in high school. You know, like 13 or whatever. And this kid came back from fish lot and had all these pieces of glass, these pipes, and I was just like, what are those things? And you know, obviously to partake in smoke and whatnot. And yeah, so I ended up grabbing one from him and took it out back to where we all used to hang out. And I just like sat there and I just like stared at this thing, right? Like in the sun and whatever. And my buddies are like, dude, we got to get to class. I'm like, hold on, man. Like, look at how beautiful this thing is. Man, I want to do this. This is what I want to do, you know. And you know, pipe dreams or whatever, ended up forgetting about it. Years and years later, you know, what was it? You know, like a map gas torch, you know, soft glass, those like those little rods or whatever.
Yep.
Ended up picking up one of those sets in what was it, 2006 or 7, and trying to like smash glass together or whatever. That was out in Arizona, and ended up, you know, not really making anything ever. But then went and did some whatever. I worked at Copper Mountain for a year, for a winter, like doing some seasonal work. And so I'm like sitting outside on my porch, like trying to melt glass at like 30 degrees outside, like no glasses, nothing. Like we're at 10,000 feet, you know, like wind, cold. I don't know. There was like this 45-minute window where the sun would just be at like this perfect spot where I could see what I was doing. And like, so I don't know, I'd rush home to be able to do that after working at the mountain all day. And, you know, I don't know, I just fell in love with it. Right.
Yeah.
And so I was living with this chick that, you know, we were trying to see what was going on, and we were deciding that we were going to part ways. And, you know, she was going to go do her thing, and I was trying to figure out what the heck I was going to do. And she's like, dude, you know, you have this passion about this glass. Like you're sitting outside freezing, you know, burning yourself. Just why don't you see, like you're in Colorado. Why don't you see if there's somebody that'll show you glass? And, you know, one of those like random things, I went on Google and I searched glass forums, you know, and found Talk Glass. And or no, actually that was glasspipes.org at that point.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't Talk Glass. But put a little post up like, hey, I'm finishing up at Copper Mountain, like is there anybody that, you know, has an apprenticeship? And within 24 hours, who became my teacher, Roan Glass. Have you ever heard of him? He does the Sharpies.
Yep.
He responded within 24 hours and was like, dude, come on down, check out the shop. Let's meet, see if we get along. And if we do, sweet. If we don't, like, I'll try to find you somebody to work with you. And I was like, dude, this dude sounds really freaking cool, you know? And went down, met with him, and yeah, got started right from there. I guess my phone's making some weird sounds. There we go. Yeah, so I ended up working with Roan, and, you know, started out at one shop, and was there for like about a month, and you know, I had some time, some history of kind of getting, not keeping my nose clean, and ended up in a couple different hospitals and shit over the years. And that happened again right when I started glass, like a month after I started, right? So like I found this fucking passion, and like here we go. And then went to Bisco Inferno at Red Rocks, and ended up kind of losing my shit.
Hmm.
So I ended up coming back to Chicago for a year, hanging out with my parents and trying to get my things in order. And about a year later, like the pull was just too strong. Like got in the car randomly and drove back out to Colorado, and ended up getting back connected with Tyrell, with Rowan, and working with him. And I don't know, I was brought up, I guess, more like the old school way. Like I had to make a jar of marbles, like
Yeah.
before I was able to do anything, like. So I got back, I started making my jar of marbles, and kind of got things going from there. At that point, I was working two different jobs. I was working from 2 a.m. till 7 a.m. at my first job, and then I'd work from 7:30 a.m. until 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and then I'd go to the studio after that.
Damn. Dedicated.
So
Yeah.
like, dude, and dude, I didn't go to college. Like, there was nothing I had a passion for like this. Like, I mean, I don't know. That's why, like, I think it's kind of BS when people are like, dude, I don't have time to be on the torch. It's like, dude, make the time.
Yeah,
Like, do you
exactly.
want this or not? Like,
Yep. Yeah, it's. I
uh,
think anything in life's like that too. I hear so many fucking excuses like, "I don't have the time." It's like, well, get out in front of the TV and get off your phone. Quit playing Pokemon Go.
hey, man, that's pretty good. Yeah, I just played that game.
Hey, dude, we've been
You know?
playing it all morning, so I feel you.
That's
I
sweet.
got my
Hey,
incense
it's
out
getting
right
me to
now.
talk.
Yeah, I'm attracting them. We got
There
them
you
going.
go. There you go. I got a cheat for you later. I'll tell you about.
Awesome.
Can't do it on the air though. But yeah, dude. So like basically, I was doing that. I was working the two jobs, and and Tyrell had, I was really fortunate. He was really hooked in with one of the bigger shops in Colorado. How is it about talking about shop names?
Oh,
Like, how do
bring
you
them.
feel about?
All good, dude. Yeah, you're good to go.
All right, cool. So, we were really hooked in with Freakies out in Denver. So they got like 8 shops and everything. And like we had just more work than we possibly could handle, And so I learned fume spoons, learned wrapping rakes, frits. And, I got brought up in the true production fashion. I had
Yeah,
to do 1,000 of each,
yeah,
and I'd get paychecks after I finished 250 just to pay for the next 250, Um, quit my jobs a little early. That kind of pissed off Tyrell a little bit, because he's like, dude, I'm trying to take care of you. How the hell am I going to take care of you? You don't even know how to make a spoon yet.
yeah. I know what you
But,
mean.
dude, so I fucking quit my jobs at like 2 months in.
Yeah.
And, yeah, probably shouldn't have done that, but it's all good. Um, yeah, so stuck it out. We ended up moving up to work with Ryan Rosberg Glass.
Okay.
At that time, it was Plump Glass in Boulder, and it was a hell of an experience. Like, we went from working with 3 of us in one shop to like there's like 13 people. Like,
Wow.
yeah, it was. Christian Luddinger came up there to work for a little bit. Cajun Rick was in there, Marnie, and this lady Nancy Nagel. If you have you heard of Nancy Nagel?
Not necessarily. It's familiar, but maybe not. I'll have to look her up.
Route. Classic. Like, she doesn't make pipes. Like, just like makes like baby rattles and like perfume bottles. Just like beautiful work. But anyway, so it was this huge span of like, you know, lady like Nancy out to like, a new guy like me, and like the whole spectrum. It was just a really cool experience. Um, so yeah, hung out there for about a year, and you know, uh, I don't know, this whole time still just doing production for Freakies, and yeah, I mean, you know, so at the end of this little chapter of my life, like, shit got a little bit crazy for me. Like, I was doing back in when I was younger, I did like a lot of the psychedelics and all that shit. And so like pretty much like if you've heard of the doors of perception, like my door was kind of faded and
Mm-hmm.
like that spec, so you know what I'm saying.
Oh yeah.
Uh so basically like even I was a medical patient out there, and even messing with just herb kind of put me into the other world a little too far, and pretty much lost my shit again. And that was the end of Colorado for me at that time. And like thankfully, like Rosberg and Roan, like talk about like family, like
Yeah, they were supportive.
dude, like beyond anything, like they saw me kind of going down this path, and like they actually like got connected with my family to like get my family back involved, and like because I hadn't been talking to them much, and like got me to a safe place and like back here to Chicago. And like I'll forever be in debt for that, like there's some there's some douchebags in our industry, but like there's also some amazing people that like, they just, I don't know, man. My heart goes out to them anytime I think about all that.
Yeah,
Uh,
I feel you, man. I think that's one of my favorite things with our industry is like it's such a it's a weird dynamic going on, with us always watching out for each other but dealing with the laws and shit over the years. But now, like you're saying, you group these families together that in a studio space in a sense, and everybody gets along for the most part. Everybody's got each other's back, taking care of each other. If you need a place to crash or need some fucking food or money, I mean, everybody's helping each other out. I mean, it's cool. Or if like a family member dies, there's auctions that are being held all the time for people helping people
totally.
out. It's definitely a beautiful thing. I love it myself too.
We're so fortunate about that,
Yeah,
like how many, if you got a pizza place, the guy that's, next door is not going to help you out,
yeah,
like, I mean, we're really lucky like that.
yeah.
But yeah, so, so I came back here and I got a normal job, working in a warehouse. And, I'll never forget calling one of my buddies out here, like, dude, I'm going to blow my brains out. Like this is driving me nuts, like, I'm not smoking or drinking, doing any of that stuff anymore. Like I got a boss, like I got to clock in at this job, and like, I move boxes around. It was driving me crazy, ended up through another friend getting plugged with a local shop out here that had a studio space, and went in there, and I was like, this place, all about it here in Chicago. Like, Bank Glass. I don't know if you heard of him or not,
Oh yeah.
but he gave me a shot. And I didn't have any money. I had a torch, I had my tools, and I was like, dude, I need some space. And he really hooked it up, and floated me for, he's, it was in May. It was like the end of May, and like he's like, you know what, I'm gonna give you this month for free, like don't worry about it, like 2 weeks. And he's like, just start paying me at next month. And we were doing trade for wrapping rakes, and like, this dude was helping me out, so I made sure I finished my wrapping rakes before the next month started. And he's like, dude, you're already done with them? I'm like, yeah, dude, well, that's what we got to do, like I'm paying rent with this. He's like, badass,
Yeah, hell yeah.
so rolled with that for a little while. Ended up getting a scientific job, which um, this guy, Schmitz Glass out here, he's another amazing artist in Chicago. um, he hooked it up with an opportunity to get into doing some scientific glass. I was making tubes for X-ray machines,
Wow.
and yeah, it was really, just really some basic stuff, Dewar seals or whatever. And you know, got to work on some government projects and stuff, like glass to metal seals, and learned like the other side of our industry, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, got you know, you know, from there, I was able to save up some money, buy myself a house, a little sports car, and build out a shop.
Damn, bro, that's
So,
amazing.
it's yeah. I mean, it's amazing what we can do with glass. People don't think it's really a career or whatever. It's hilarious.
Yeah,
I mean,
I know.
we obviously know different here, um,
Yeah.
but yeah. So, pretty much at that point, I had to kind of I had to make a decision whether I'm going to stick with the paycheck or roll the dice a little bit. And that's what I did. So I mean, I figure I got everything off the W-2 forms, right? I got the house, I got a nice little car, what else do I need a paycheck for?
Mm-hmm.
Um, and as far as that stuff goes, but so yeah, I ended up I got a 2-car garage that I built out to have 4 benches now. I got 3 apprentices working with me. One kid has been here for about a year and a half, Saturn Glass. Um, he's just killing it, like I don't know. I got some dedicated kids in my shop. They all did their jar of marbles and they all pulled points for a while, and they're learning from there.
Yeah, I'm glad to hear that you're continuing that, because it's, it's so easy for people to learn the wrong way and then continue teaching the wrong way, and to get and to get that foundation that you're doing. It's so important. I went to a kid's house last night of one of my local friends here that's been getting started, and he's a natural talent. Like, I can tell just by what he's doing, and it's amazing. This kid's been on the torch for like 3 months, and he's already making spoons and clean bowl pushes and carbs and the whole 9 yards. And just went over there and showed him a couple texts last night, and I was like, I could feel his brain melting behind me, just because he was just absorbing it. I could just feel it. It was fucking fun, just sitting there, just like showing him some quick little demo stuff. I basically made a spoon and turned the spoon into a Sherlock just so he can see the process. And he just couldn't get back on the torch fast enough, and I love that drive on these new kids that are out there. But I like the drive that they have to be willing to start off like that. You got to start off by, like you're saying, 1,000 marbles or whatever it is you got to do to just learn your medium, learn your torch, learn your equipment, learn the foundation. And then it makes you appreciate all that shit down the road when you can look back at it and be like, damn, I spent like 80 hours a week making bullshit, but I learned so much from it,
Totally.
It's huge.
Yeah, we did a collab in my shop a few weeks ago, and like a couple kids that I didn't know came up, and like I'm trying to do this like Chicago collab thing or whatever, but these kids came up and like like you're saying, natural talent, but they don't have much direction. And so this kid was like, he was making something. He's like, dude, can I use your scoring knife? And I'm like, why would you need that right now? He's like, well, I got to open this blow tube. I'm like, wait, what? Like, hold on a second. Let me just show you this real quick,
Yeah.
So I just showed him how to open a blow tube, and he's like, wow, dude, really? Like, yeah, dude. Like, I don't know. Like you're saying, like these fundamentals, like
Yeah.
we need those things. Otherwise, we don't have, like, I don't know, like kids cracking off mouthpieces. It's like, dude, you can't do that when you're getting, into multiple sections, and like you're gonna crack that off and you're gonna ruin your mouthpiece. Like, learn to pick it open,
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
but yeah, so I got these yeah, I mean that's pretty much where I'm at now. Like, I've been doing production for the last whatever it is, 8 years. I'm trying to figure out what my thing is. I think that's kind of like the main struggle that I've kind of had with glass is like finding my own.
Mm-hmm.
I have my speed, I have my consistency, and like I can pay my bills that way, but like I'd like to kind of step out a little bit from there, and I'm trying to work on that, seeing kind of what works for me.
Yeah,
That's
man,
kind of
I think it takes about 10 years. I mean, in all reality, it's about where I was at with it. Was about 10 years into it was when I really started to think like the same thing, like, okay, what's going to be my thing? And I was trying a bunch of different stuff, but really like trying to find what my character or creature or style or model or whatever the fuck, my brand was going to be. And, it always seems like it takes someone to come into your life that asks for something or see something that you're making in a different way then you're like, oh shit, I didn't see it that way. And then you realize you've been kind of making that thing forever in a sense, but you never saw a perspective of what they saw, and you can just add a couple little things to it that changes it up a little bit, and then it's your thing. Or to get that vision in a sense. It's interesting, and because you have this foundation of the medium, you're able to now get to a point to where you can start finding your voice in your glass. But again, dude, looking at your shit online on your Instagram, it's like you're definitely consistent. I mean, I'm sure you put your pipes on a table and they all just about look the same, model wise, which is huge. So when you're doing your production wise, like in terms of your pricing and stuff, do you have like a basic price point for like a certain model, and then as you add things to it, you can increase the price on it for like an upsell and stuff? Like, how do you go about pricing all your work?
So I pretty much like I have my baseline, like your $5 fume, your $7 frit, or $8 frit depending on size,
Mm-hmm.
Your $12 inside out, and then like adding attachments or whatever. I haven't done a lot of proto horns, but like I'll add like $3 or $4 for a horn, or like, but my main thing are windows. So my $5 fume spoon, add a honeycomb or add a wigwag, it's a $15 spoon. You buy 25 or 50 or 100 of them, like I'll give it to you for 14 or 13.
Cool.
You know, it's
Yep.
kind of just yeah, my baseline spoons and then add the attachments.
Yeah.
It's kind of how I do it.
Yeah, and that's kind of this with this series I'm doing. Like I'm actually about to, today's I'm putting out episode is about the like getting into doing commission and custom work, and people have issues with doing it. Sometimes they feel it kind of hinders their artistic creativity in a sense, but also they don't understand like if you know by having a foundation like what you're saying, like a baseline price on your items, if someone wants it customized, then you have a way to customize it because you can add things to it. For like for instance, I charge $25 for an opal extra, so they want 5 opals. Well, there's another 125, 150 bucks on there. Add to it, you know, or whatever. So you can kind of have these, you know, it's like I always say, it's like going to McDonald's and get a burger and then you upsell it and you get a fry and drink to go along with it, you know.
Hell yeah.
You know, and that's where your money's going to be too. Your little extra additional, you know, money in your pocket by these little additions. But it also gives you a chance to then create another line of work. If you know if these customs continue coming in, you can say, okay, this now can go into production because you now have this thing down in a sense. But then you come to new stuff that you've never made before, you know, in a sense. Then that can be kind of tricky in terms of figuring out how to price it or how to, you know, even make the thing if you're not familiar with it. So, you know,
Yep.
it's kind of one of those things. But I think, you know, what you're doing is huge. I mean, shit, you're like you're saying, you're able to buy a house and a car and hook yourself up through a job that you had, but you had the job doing glass, you know, and I don't know, it's cool, man. It's cool to see that you have the passion and drive. I mean, it's obvious, you know, that you're there. And also to kind of back up, I guess, coming back to Chicago, so you sobered up in a sense, and you're still sober. So you're, you know, everybody has these inclinations that you make pipes, you must smoke and drink and party all fucking
Dude,
day.
all the time.
You know, it's
All the time.
you know, it's stupid. Or if you have dreadlocks, you're a pothead. You know, I think it's you know, it's such a judgmental kind of thing that's out there. I know a lot of pipe makers that do not smoke even cigarettes, you know, but they enjoy making pipes because it's what their passion is. It's just their thing.
yeah.
So I definitely have that respect for you for having self-control in a sense, I guess, too, because you've got pipes around you all fucking day. That could be very
Yeah,
tempting, you know.
I don't even see it as a pipe, you know, like I just see it as my art, you
Right.
know, like straight up. And like, you know, I mean, dude, I can't, you know, the life that I have today would not have happened if I would have made any other decisions. And that's kind of like how I see it, you know. And yeah, I mean, that's where the drive comes from. I mean, you know, like, yeah, you know, like you said, like I bought the house with the paycheck, but like I've been able to maintain it. Like actually, I just it's been 1 year, 2 weeks ago since I quit my job, like 100%. So,
Rad.
you know, what is it? 9 out of 10 businesses fail in the first year.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
far I'm doing pretty good.
Yeah, man, that's awesome. So do you have like a website and a catalog you put together for yourself in terms of getting your glass out there, or do you have like specific shops or a distributor that you sell to?
You know, a little bit of everything. I'm working on, you know, I'm actually kind of part of how I found, what, you know, your podcast was just like trying to find like some other people talking about business and art. And then I found you through Mountain Glass.
Nice.
And, yeah, dude. And like, you know, so I'm trying to figure out kind of how else I can do things right now. Like you know, I got my local shops and, I sell through the Facebook groups to the wholesale
Okay.
accounts, like Glassblower store owners, all that. That's really how I do pretty good. I have a couple distributors. You know, I don't know. I've had some struggles with distributors as far as like them wanting like exclusivity and things like that, and it's like, then you better order thousands, like
Yeah,
otherwise
exactly.
I can't do it. Like, so kind of had some fallouts there with most of my lines, honestly, with the distributors. So I kind of just have a couple things that go to them. And yeah, mainly through Facebook and just on the hustle, you know, I need to get a catalog going. Like I have a website, but I haven't really done much sales through that. I've stayed pretty busy. I don't have any full cases, you know.
Yeah, that's
Whenever I
awesome.
do, it disappears. So
So when you
yeah.
go about the Facebook group, you know, doing that stuff, because I have been tempted myself in the past to go on there and just try it out. I just never. I mean, I'm kind of in the same boat. Like I never have anything in stock really. I have a wholesaler out in California, but like production wise, I think in the 17 years I've been lucky enough to and blessed to not have to have any stock. I've always had someone picking it up. But
Yeah.
but there's been times where I'm like, well, fuck, maybe I'll spend like 2 days and crank a bunch of shit out and put it to the side, and then hit up one of these Facebook groups. So like when you do that, do you set up like a nice picture spread and put on there contact for pricing, or do you put your pricing on there? Like, how do you go about doing that?
I just put out my pricing because like I think that's good for like all of us. Like I think one thing that our industry like my teacher used to tell me, like Ron used to tell me about how like he used to get like $40 or whatever for a Dicro spoon, back in the day, and then like kids started undercutting each other until now it's a $10 spoon or whatever, and like so I like to put my prices out there because it's like, hey, this is what I've been around long enough, like this is what this pipe should be,
Mm-hmm.
like, and then I sell it, and it's like, come on, now that doesn't mean like put yours up for $12. That means get yours nicer, sell it for 15 because people are buying them for 15.
Yeah, exactly.
So like I like to be an open book when it comes to that. So what I do is I generally do larger quantities, 25, 50 or more, and I put up a lot price, for everything, and put up some pictures, and kind of, I don't know, it's kind of like fishing,
Yeah.
throwing out the line and wait.
Yeah, hell yeah. Do you find you ever get lost in the threads at all? Like, because I know with the Facebook algorithms and horse shit, if you don't comment on a picture or something like that, it gets bumped to the bottom of a post. Sometimes on those threads.
Yeah, in I guess some of these groups, I'm not sure about all of them, but like you can post once a day. So if it doesn't sell the first day, I'll erase the old post and repost it the next day.
Mm-hmm.
Generally with whatever I made that day too.
Oh,
so
nice.
it just ends up kind of growing.
Yeah,
Right.
Yeah.
So it's not a bad thing when it doesn't sell, because now I got 15 pieces in the kiln that I'm going to throw in the next batch, and then try to sell it again. And yeah, that's kind of how it's been going there. And then if it sits for too long, then I'll hit the road and I'll go to the shops, because like it's nice that I don't have to leave my shop when I sell it on Facebook. Like I don't have to get in the car. I don't have to go anywhere. I don't have to deal with anybody. It's like all I gotta do is pack it and ship it.
Yeah, man, it's huge.
So, yeah, dude.
Do you have your
Definitely.
apprentices? Well, I'm sorry, what was that?
Oh no worries. Go ahead.
Okay, I was gonna say, do you ever have your apprentices like do any kind of packing and stuff for you, like to alleviate that part?
Dude, I love how you say like around 5 years you should have somebody doing that, and I've definitely made sure that my apprentices hear you say that, so I can be like, dude, you're supposed to be wrapping my stuff. Don't yet, but they will be soon.
Yeah, well, it's good, man, because it teaches them how to pack glass properly, and understand what it is you're looking for. Because again, you've set a standard for your own work, which you then teach them a standard, and then they continue that standard on to the next person. And if whether it's making glass or shipping the stuff or labeling it or how you pack it, the whole 9 yards, how you market yourself. It's all. I mean, there's so much you can take advantage of when you pack your glass. With I got a little stamp made, so I have my logo on the outside of the box. I stopped putting fragile stickers on boxes because I think that means kick me. So I stopped. I think it should say kick me on the box, and they'll leave it alone. Fucking assholes out there. God, it drives me nuts, dude. I did my 10,000 giveaway, and I sent it out to this chick in California who won it, and it went to her PO box, but her PO box is in her boyfriend's name, so they didn't. It was kind of a confusing thing. So, anyways, long story short, I got it sent back. I sent it to her in a Pelican case, and I come back. The box has a big dent in the side, and the fucking dragon was broken inside, like the tail joint coming off was broken, and I'm talking like a Pelican case that's completely airtight.
Pelican?
Yeah, dude. I don't know if they ran it over with a truck or what the fuck they did. It's crazy. I mean, it could have been. Oh, dude, it was ridiculous. I don't know if they were trying to use a drone to deliver it or what the hell, but it could have been my issue too. There could have been a small check in the glass. I don't know, but still, it drives me nuts, and it sucks because you can't like. It's a federal industry, government thing with the post office. So I never fight or even try to get anything with these insurances that we get, that are in part of the delivery systems. Because who's to say they're going to be like, oh, fuck you, it's a pipe. We're not, giving you anything. I don't care. I'm sure people out there have a different opinion about it, and I would love to know about it, but I don't even bother. UPS is different. I have with UPS before, but the post office, I don't. So anyways, a little sidetrack there. So and to kind of back up too, like I like what you're saying about, in a sense of industry standard and pricing, because I know for the longest time there was, before things got completely out of control, there was a standard price, kind of based on where you live as well, and inflation and whatever else. But there's a standard $10, $15, $20, $30 spoons and whatever, and you get into Sherlock's and dichroic glass and Fritz and shit, And like you're saying, if you want to sell it for more money, fucking make it look better and then sell it.
Exactly. And that's like, I mean, I know I quit my job early, but like, I don't know. That's what I feel like we all did. Like we had to put in the work, and especially when you're like in an area that's a little more crowded, like makes it even harder sometimes. But like, I mean, yeah, dude, it's like if your honeycomb isn't looking like a honeycomb, like don't sell it as a honeycomb. Like don't sell a wigwag as a, I don't know, man.
No, I agree.
This is one of those things. I'm looking at some of the times, like you were asking about, do I get lost in the threads? And I thought you were talking about me, like just like wasting time looking in the threads for a second.
Mm-hmm.
And like, I found that when I do that type of stuff, I just end up getting pissed off. Just like, why are you selling that? Like these like $20 rigs that like, if you breathe on it, it's going to be in pieces.
Yeah.
It's like, just throw it in the garbage, move on.
Yeah, exactly. Or give it to a friend. And
Right.
and I agree, man. Because like social media, I was listening to Tim Ferriss the other day. I don't know if did you hear his recent interview, the part 2 with Jamie Foxx that he did.
Oh no, I haven't.
It's killer, dude. Like it's Jamie Foxx interviews Tim Ferriss this time around. It's a pretty amazing
nice.
thing. But Tim was talking about like as artists that are trying to get their work out there through social media, and if you're posting something for likes, you've already defeated yourself before you even created your artwork, because you're basing your artwork on what the perspective of other people out there are going to be. If you just create your work to create your work, it's a great thing. But like on that point, I see a lot of people, and I can't say a lot, but I see it all too often that a new glass artist makes something. They're just showing what they made. It looks okay. I appreciate they're posting their stuff because they should, so we can see progress. It's like if you're losing weight, I'm going to post a picture of me now, and then a year from now. But their friends are like, "Oh my god, it's fucking amazing," and blah 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 blah, and it gives them this artificial confidence, inflation in their head. Next thing you know, they're auctioning them off, and they're getting $2,000 for it, for something that's worth maybe $1. And then they do it, and then they completely consistently do that shit. They're making carb caps and other things that they're getting all this crazy money for. God bless them. I think it's fucking amazing, but that is not going to last long when it comes down to it, because you're not learning that your stuff actually sucks, and you need to start over and just really hone in your medium instead of worrying about what everybody's sucking your dick out there trying to tell you your glass is amazing.
Totally.
So like I said, I think it's fun. Social media is fun, but it can be also very defeating, and also defeating in a negative way, in a sense. If you're getting positive remarks, positive's good, but don't let it go to your head, I guess, or something.
So I know you talk about Tim Ferriss, and like I'm a big Gary Vaynerchuk follower, and he talks about right now like that this is like an entrepreneur period where anybody with an idea can get $1 million for tech stuff and all that, and it's like we're in a good period right now. So all these kids that are getting all this money, like when this good period comes to a close, which, the economy always ebbs and flows, right?
Yep.
When that happens, like they're not going to have any sales, and they're not going to be able to go back to their fume spoon. They're not going to be able to go back to their Fritz spoon and be able to make bread and butter, like, and that's where I'm at. Like, that's how I teach my kids here, that it's like, I know you want to try something cool and do that. Like, please do that, but make sure that like, when you show it to me later, I'm going to say, dude, that's really fucking awesome that you did that. Like, badass. But look at this. You shouldn't sell it because of this, and this. But it's really cool, bring it home and like show your friends. But like, there's a crack right here.
Yeah, get back to work.
Like, right, exactly. Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's funny. Yeah, man, I completely agree. And you know what I like to laugh about too is I wonder how many of these new kids can actually push a fucking bowl.
Oh my God, right?
You know?
Dude, totally.
I mean, I'm all about learning how to do scientific joints and that kind of stuff, but like, it's talk about ebbs and flows and the way that our society with trends. I mean, right now we're back in the 80s again in a sense. The concentrates are going to be where they're at, but eventually the vaporizers and the digital technology is going to take it over, and it'll be incorporated, I'm sure, with the glass. But I'm sure the rig eventually is going to become this clumsy, clustery fucking thing that nobody's going to want to have anymore because it's inconvenient, except for the higher end work, like the sculptural, more artistic type stuff, where it's either going to be coming out of China or whatever. So it's going to go back to the flowers. Myself personally, I prefer my flowers over anything else just because I'm old school and it's just how I am. But I've been thinking lately about going back into making wrap and rake bubs and some other shit like that, just because I haven't done it in probably 5-6 years, and it'd be fun. I got sucked into the whole concentrate thing and started making rigs and stuff right away. And don't get me wrong, the money was great, and it still is when I do it. But I'm all about going back to now revisiting what I used to do with the skills I have now, and see how much better I can make that old stuff.
Totally.
Which I think we got to do, and we got to keep that. Just keep it fresh, keep practicing. Start, evolve, but keep the old stuff there.
Totally. And I'm gonna give a little secret out here, I guess, but like, China chases the money too, and so I found myself like really busy in like the $15 spoon range, because China can't make a nice $15 spoon, and nobody else wants to make them, so everybody's coming to me to get them, because like it's hard to find good production at this point.
That's true.
Because everybody wants to be a baller, and it's like, dude, I'd like to be a baller at some point, but right now I'd like to pay my bills.
Dude, you're a fucking baller. You own your own house and you got a fucking car, dude. You got a 2-car garage with 4 guys in there working for you, or 3 and yourself. You're a baller. That's you're the definition of what it is about being successful in this industry. You may not be a multi-gazillionaire. Who gives a fuck if you're selling $100,000 pieces or not? You have a consistent income, and you have 3 guys under your wing that you're teaching, that are making stuff for you, that you're selling, and you're continuing the thing going. That's what it's all about. It's not about, don't get me wrong. I love to make custom work, and I love doing big shit and having fun with it, but bread and butter is bread and butter. And even all the ballers out there, people don't understand that these guys are still making. I mean, look at Carl Termini, dude. This guy is a phenomenal artist. He's a phenomenal human being, and he's still making carb caps on his lathe. They're amazing, but he's still making them,
Hell yeah.
I know he's been posting shit about getting tired of the pipes lately, which I completely understand. That's why, for myself personally, I'm blessed to have my gig at Disney, because it gives me opportunity to do other shit. But, again, it's just, you got to be humble. You don't need to just spread your wings and jump off the cliff or fly to the sun like Icarus and then die on the way down. That's what's going to happen, dude. I don't think there's a bubble. It's like you said, it's just ebbs and flows. And as the industry evolves and changes, we have to be able to as well. You got to be able to adapt. And if you can't adapt, you're fucked. And if all you can make is rigs, then you're fucked.
Right. Right. And hey, my a few guys I've talked to before, it's like, we got to save up some money right now, because when all these fucking new kids end up dropping off, it's like there's gonna be a whole bunch of cheap tools that we should be all picking up.
Dude, we're gonna have studios full of shit laying around on whatever.
Right. Yeah, dude.
Waiting for us.
Yep, exactly. That's what I'm waiting for. So.
Yeah, it's gonna happen. Yeah. So, there's something I was gonna ask you. What the fuck it was? I don't remember. I had a brain fart.
No worries. Yeah, I mean, it's been sweet to get to where where this spot is, and it, like, I don't know, man, like I just love bringing up the fucking kids with me, and like watching like my apprentice that's been with me for like a year and a half now, like he's actually just making his first IOs off of 50x35, and like they're coming out really nice, and like I don't know, it's just so cool to watch kids come up, and like I'm trying to make a move here in the next 6 months or a year to a bigger spot, like getting like a nice 5-car garage or a pole barn up here, and like get some more benches under here. Just want to get these kids that I have with me to a place where they can pass it on as well.
Yeah.
And, I don't know,
that's
like,
killer.
I mean, there's gonna, I think, like we were talking about the ebbs and flows, and maybe it is a little bit of a bubble that, like, when the hype dies down, like the industry is still gonna exist. We won't ever disappear. And like we're gonna need more kids that know the fundamentals.
Yeah, totally.
That's what I'm trying to do.
Yeah, I agree. It's like it's like when the iPhone 10 comes out, everybody's gonna be waiting in line for it, and then 3 months later, iPhone 11 is gonna start being talked about. And so it's there's the hype, and then it dies out, and then there's the hype, and then it dies out, and that's why I think with Abe Fleischman, when he released Lucy for the affordable price of like $68 a pound, where the hell it is huge as an industry set type thing, to make sure that he's telling everybody, fuck having to pay $100 a color, for a pound of color, we're going to sell it and have a lot of it in stock and sell it for an affordable price, so you guys can buy it and have fun with it and create some badass work.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And get it lost in your clear.
Yeah, right. Oh, dude, totally. Got to keep that shit way separate.
Yeah,
I got a separate box away from all of my shit.
Yeah, dude. One thing I will say I've noticed with the Lucy is if you look at the cross cut on it, it's got a slight little peach tint to it. And that's the
Okay.
only way that, I mean, some color has like ruby or something like that has like the striations in the glass. You can see like the fibers in it. Where like the
Right.
Lucy's, like you really don't even have that. It's so clear. So, but if you look at that cross cut, you can see like a little bit of a pink or peachy tint to it. Because I had it on my
Nice.
bench next to a bunch of my clear, and I was like, oh fuck, what did I just do? So I just picked up what I thought was my Lucy, and I brought it home and busted out my black light, and sure as shit, I got the right stuff. And that's when I was trying to figure out like how can I tell the difference, and that was that thing, or even like a little piece of painter's tape on the ends of your rods or something like that to separate it. Because like I'll get like my amber purples and my North Star yellow and stuff in, and I'll throw the whole batch in my kiln and pre-strike it just so I know what it is.
Oh, nice.
Ahead of time, because there's nothing worse than having a clear rig with a punny spot that's like NS yellow or something on it.
Totally. Totally.
It's ridiculous. Some amateur stuff there.
Yeah, I make sure I keep all that shit way separate. Like, yep, definitely. The worst is like when I'm doing cheap proto and I'm using like Chinese blow tubes, and then like I'm going to do like a recycler, and it's like, wait, which blow tubes are Chinese, or which ones are, where's my shot ones, like, so
Yeah.
that I can all my bends. And so like I end up just throwing all of my blow tubes in a box and grabbing some shot and making sure, like, yeah,
Yeah, exactly.
starting fresh, not gonna make that mistake.
Yeah, that's one reason I like using Cymax, because Cymax has kind of that blue tint to it, so you can always tell, the difference in the two. Because the Chinese has that green tint, but so does Shot sometimes gets the green in there, so it's hard to differentiate between them.
Right.
It's crazy. Oh, so what I was gonna ask you was your studio setup. So how's your setup in there, and are you guys running off of liquid oxygen? And I take it.
No, actually.
No.
I got a killer deal on my T tanks. So, and I can't get them dropped off because I'm in residential.
Okay.
I can't. Yeah, so that's kind of a bummer. But so basically, like I got a like I said, a normal size 2-car garage, and against the back wall, I got two 8-foot benches with F240 in the middle. So I'm on the left, and then on the right is my apprentice that has been with me for a while, and then across the long side of the garage, I got like a 10-foot bench with two torches and an F130 on there for the newer apprentices, and they're all on CCs in here. I'm on a GTT.
Nice.
But yeah.
So did you purchase all the materials, like all the supplies? It's all your torches and equipment and stuff, or is it their stuff?
It's all my stuff except for my apprentice that has been with me for a while, Saturn Glass. He just bought his own CC from Glass, so that was pretty exciting time.
Rad.
So yeah, dude, it was pretty sweet. He's like, dude, I think I'm ready to buy a torch. I'm like, dude, do it. And
Yeah.
got him in with the CC.
Yeah, dude.
So.
Yeah, I've been running my same Carlisle for 16 and a half years now, I guess it's been since I've had it.
Hell yeah.
So they're workhorses for sure. Like over at Disney and one of our places, we have a Mirage there, and I love it. But like I work too hard. Like I'm afraid I'm gonna kill the thing. It's like I like big, hot, heavy flames, and I've learned to run my Carlisle now without I don't have to have that annoying, loud fucking center tip.
Totally.
Screaming
Yeah.
all day long. I've actually heard some studios don't like people having their Carlisles in there because they run them so loud.
It's unnecessary. I mean, you're actually cooling off your center fire when you run it that way, at least from what I understand. Like, but maybe I'm wrong with that.
No,
Sometimes you want to do that, but
Yeah, totally. Yeah, sometimes you have to get that
Right.
penetrating, heavy, quick, pushy needle tip flame going on. But
Totally.
yeah, it's definitely unnecessary. And it's annoying too because to yourself, I'm sure that I
Right.
probably have some kind of long term hearing damage from the first couple of years of using that thing.
hell yeah.
Just
I mean,
from the constants.
I love the CC. Like that's that's what I learned on, and I got my apprentices, or my teacher's old CC, and like the way I see it is like that's your Mustang 5.0. Like you can beat the shit out of it, and it's still a nice fucking fast, strong ride. But then like you get into your GTTs, and like now you're into your exotics, your
Mhm.
Ferrari or whatever. It's like if you fuck it up, like it's gonna cost you, and like. That's why I had him get a CC first, and it's like later on you can pick up your Delta or whatever, but you'll always have your backup that you can have for 20 years. You
Yep.
know, like I have Bear Claw's old CC in here, and my teachers, it's really crazy. They're actually only like 5 away from each other in the serial number, so that was
Huh.
pretty cool. Got them randomly, different sides of the country. But yeah, they're 20 years old, and like they're still running strong.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah.
Yeah, it's killer. You got
Oh,
Bear
yeah.
Claws, dude. He's like when I was growing up in the industry, getting off started. Him and Jagger, still to this day, they're two of my favorite artists. And
Hell yeah,
yeah, it was tragic when Bear Claw sliced his fucking hand open a couple years back.
dude, that was a bummer.
Yeah,
Yep. Yeah, yes, he's in my area. I mean, he works a lot with one of the shops that's right by me. I haven't
nice,
gotten a chance to work with him yet. I got this through another buddy who was good friends with Bear Claw or whatever.
nice.
But yeah, yeah, it's kind of funny how things work.
Yeah, it is. I need to
But
get him on the show. It'd be fun to have him on.
hell yeah, definitely.
Definitely OG.
Um, yeah, for sure, for sure. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, one other thing I was thinking about when you were asking like how I get rid of my work, like I'm also trying to do I'm trying to get on to like this whole custom like branding glass, not for myself, but for like dispensaries and shit.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was something else that I've been trying to do, kind of get you know, put the dispensary's logo and their contact information or their head shop and their contact information. Just another way to move my product. It's like I don't have to do anything different with the glass like on the torch, but I can still brand it differently so that it's more of a marketing tool rather than a consumable tool. It's like how can I use, I don't know, listening to all these guys, like Gary Vee and everything, like just like how they look at the world is different than just like the artistic side. It's like how else can this same thing be used? How can you twist it? How can you wrap it differently for it to be another product? You know what
Yeah,
I'm saying? I don't know if I'm
absolutely.
making it.
Yeah, no, it's like
So
Bic lighters or pens, that you can have
totally.
a business name on there. And, they're cheap enough where you can send 1,000 out in the mail and it makes it worth your money. Well, like for instance, this kid Richard, who I was talking about earlier, he was asking me the other day about selling locally in my town, and our area is a lot of it's tourist based, and our economic situation here is pretty decent. There's
Right.
the
Right.
the collectors they're not all here. They're mostly South Florida and areas, even though there is some money here like that, but he was trying to ask about how to go around. I'm like, dude, just make some pendants and get some business cards. Go around to these shops. Don't sell them anything. And tell them that. Say, I'm not here to sell anything. I'm here to shake your hand, introduce myself. Here's my card. Here's a pendant for you guys as a gift. Just want to introduce myself. And he went to 2 shops and did that. In the second shop, he actually had a case of glass in his car and sold their entire fucking case. And they were like, half of the shit was decent stuff. The other half of the stuff was garbage that he shouldn't have even had in his case, but he does because he wants to, get rid of it in a sense. And some of these shops have no problem spending like $5 on a piece of shit little spoon that someone's going to spend $10 on as a
Right.
throwaway, kind of deal. But that's all it takes. It's just, think about the way that you market yourself and like what you're saying. That's killer, dude. Like, are you doing bacon labels with it or is it sandblasted and
Yeah.
stuff?
Bacon. Yep. Bacons.
Hell yeah.
Yep.
Who are you getting your bacons from?
Well, so I've been getting them from Commercial Decal of Ohio, and I'm also talking to a guy named Dell off of Facebook
Okay.
and seeing what's going on with him. So yeah, trying to kind of, it is extremely expensive to get those damn things, but trying to figure out how I can make it work a little bit easier, a little bit more financially. Yeah, just trying to make the numbers work because it is quite expensive to get a small run of bacons.
Yeah, that's what I found too. Yeah, like almost to a point where it was like, whoa, you got to buy like
Right.
1,000 to even make it worth any time, make it worth the money.
Right. So I'm trying to find a balance on like, trying to get that something in here. Yeah, we'll see. It's working out okay. And we're trying to change things around. So like we were doing as many colors as you wanted, which was killing us. So now we're shifting to like, how about just one color?
Yeah.
And just tease it. And if they like it, then like do like a sample pack of one color, like an MVP, minimum viable product. So like one color version, and then if you like it and you want more of the colors, like it costs you this much, or we can keep doing this with one color, like whatever you like. Because some of these dispensaries have, 10 locations, 15 locations. I mean, they can buy 1,000 or 5,000 one hitters from me and label all of them, and so in that case I can get that price down and however many colors they want.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's kind of what I'm doing with that. One thing I wanted to say was, just like you were talking to your buddy about going to those shops, my buddy. So like I had my apprenticeship in the beginning and like for the first year, and then I've been pretty much on my own since then for the most part. But this guy Schmitz Glass, Eric Schmitz, he's been helping me out, and like he just made that same suggestion to me to go shake hands and kiss babies with the different shops in the area that I haven't worked with yet. Don't even bring a case in there,
Mm-hmm.
and go check them out and talk to them, and then go back in for the sale. And he's also helping me with like kind of finding my own voice. He's really kind of pushing me to try messing with these flip discs a little bit more, and like try to develop this thing I'm calling like the Puzzicello. So it's like a flip disc, and it has like a pattern like a Filicello, but it's puzzle pieces, and like
Neat.
try to focus that in a little bit. I don't know. I'm not somebody that likes to go look on YouTube for videos and shit. Like I just still don't like. I don't know. I still don't like that. But so I'm trying to figure it out on my own a little. Maybe I'm being a little stubborn or whatever.
No, dude, I think you're smart because I think people that go to art school get a little bit their artistic ideas kind of get muddled a little bit because you have. It's not bad to have influences from other teachers and artists, but when a teacher tries to show you a specific way to do something, a lot of times they say, "Don't go outside what I'm teaching you. Do it the way I teach you." And with our work at first with glass, I think you should do that. It's like I who was it? I think it was Josh Hamra was in the last couple interviews. Well, I just did a best of the other day, but he was saying like, it's the whole imitate until you can innovate kind of concept.
Yeah.
To bring up Shelbo again, it's like the fucking goblin heads. Like there's some dudes out there that are, unfortunately, they're still making exactly what Shelbo makes instead of taking that talent and that ideas and making it different.
Totally.
So yeah, it is what it is. But
you break the rules.
Yeah, and that's that's what's fucked up with this industry. It's like there are rules, but there's no rules at the same time. It's like the Wild West at times, and then there's a whole group of us that are like, no, wait a second. There's a little bit of a foundation that we need to all at least kind of stay along this line. Don't fucking, don't make it gray, make it black and white.
Well, I was looking at one of your recent posts of that Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle, and like how when you know what's going on with glass, like you're totally bending rules there. Like your angles that you have in there, like they're good, but like a new guy doesn't know that like those aren't sharp, acute. Like they might look like they're just really defined angles. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And like kids don't know that shit. Like if you don't work to that slowly. I don't know. I just was looking at that. I was like, wow, dude, like those are some great carving. Like,
thanks,
beautiful.
Man. I learned that from Coyle. I took a Coyle Steve Sizlove class a couple years back, and something I've always done was like, say for instance with that turtle head I was doing, back in the day, if I was to try that, I would just like add the band to his head and I would go in and maybe blend in the edge where it touched the face, but I wouldn't go back in with my knife and carve it again and define it. I would just leave that edge there, and then it would crack on me because of that edge that's there. You know what I mean? Instead of like Coyle will blend his stuff in completely smooth and then go back with his knife or his spoon or whatever tool he's using to carve with, and then go back and redefine the shape. And I know like for myself, for probably the first 13 years or so, as the color palette began to expand to get where it's at now, I got away with a lot of shit. Like there was a lot of things I got away with that I didn't realize I was getting away with until now I'm getting into where I'm using the more modern glass and trying more high-end techniques that if I can't get away with this shit anymore, and I'm learning it the hard way by taking 3 or 4 times to make something,
Right.
Which is frustrating. It's like, why can't I do this? I've been doing this for almost 20 fucking years, and then I realize I can't do it the way I used to do it anymore.
Nice. But yeah, and that's like, I don't know. I wish that I'm gonna take whatever class pops up in the area. Like I want to get to take some more around here. Like they're just I think this is a budding industry here in Chicago. It's starting to grow. We got Madison and everything, but we don't have a ton of classes. We have some demos, but like, I mean, that just sounds, you learning how to like, that's crazy that Coyle brings it completely smooth. Like and like, I'm just picturing it in my head. I'm like, oh, that makes total freaking sense.
Yeah.
Like, hell yeah.
Yeah, and then you just go back with your knife and just where the color touches the other color, you just go back in there and cut your grooves. And I mean, look at Salt's work. Right. I mean, shit, some of the deep cuts he does in his faces and creatures and stuff is just incredible. It's like, how is he getting away with that stuff? But the issue is that you can't, when you go to carve in the glass, you can't push it in so far that when you look at the inside wall of your glass, because if you have deviations on the inside, that's where it fucks with you. Right. You can get your acute angles on the inside wall that you don't realize are there, and to be able to have the inside if you were to cut your piece in half as a cross section and look at the inside of the glass, it's for the most part it's pretty smooth. I mean, you may have some little variations here and there from like if it's a face or something like that, but for the most part, you just make that shit super thick so then you can do super deep cuts and not worry about penetrating the wall and pushing it in. Because that's besides the stress that it creates, But also, again, having the hand torches now that we have, even though they've been around for centuries, that would, I'm kind of curious who was the smart ass that picked up the hand torch, the Smith torch, and started using it. You know what I mean? Like somebody did one day and they were like, "Oh, that's neat." And now you got everybody using them.
Totally.
Totally. It's just a fucking jewel torch that's been around for, like I said, like a century or some shit, But,
right.
It's kind of neat seeing that stuff. But one thing I wanted to ask you too about your studio space. How do you have what's your ventilation setup like?
I got a 1600 CFM squirrel cage.
Okay.
That's split off in 2 vents coming off of one side and 2 vents coming off the other, so it's all balanced and straight out to the different benches.
Cool.
And there's a port off of each bench right over the torch, like right in front.
Nice.
So, yeah.
And
it's a little. Oh, go ahead.
I'll say your fans out, like your squirrel cage gimmick. Is that outside on the side of your house, like mounted or something?
It's actually mounted right above my kiln and ran out through a window.
Okay.
Yeah.
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's one way to go about it for sure.
Yeah, I mean it's good, and it's a pretty old garage. It's from the 60s, so there's enough like little holes and everything in it that we keep the door shut. And I definitely have some of that static, like the door is tight when the fan's on,
Mm-hmm.
So I know that it's good. I mean, light a piece of cardboard if you ever need to test your vent, right?
Yeah,
and,
exactly.
Just check it out. But don't cheat. Don't stick it right at the hole. Make sure you put it down by your torch is what I learned.
Yeah, usually what I'll do is I'll turn my torch on full blast and then like stand as more or less where I normally stand and put it like right at my face, whatever it is I'm burning.
Right.
Just to kind of get an idea, because a lot of times you can get a little bit of a backdraft coming off your ventilation or something weird happens where it pushes it right at you, especially if you're using a fan on you, or something like that to keep yourself cool while you're working.
Right.
And that being said, I don't know, I saw on the news the other day, kind of a sole side note here. I actually was on this episode coming out today. I talk about it. I'm going to do a challenge for everybody out there to go buy a small like thermometer that you stick in a turkey or your food, make sure it's hot enough to, when you cook it. And like tape it to your shirt or something like that when you're working to kind of measure the amount of heat that you're getting off your torch and in your studio space, just kind of as an idea, and keep a journal. Like I'm going to make a little PDF journal kind of thing. I mean, you can download it or use a piece of paper, but I'm really curious to see what people are experiencing, throughout the day. But also a couple companies have created apps on our phones that can actually measure UV exposure, and I guess there's like a little wristband, like bracelet you can wear that actually absorbs the UV rays from the sun or whatever throughout your day, and then you can scan it with your phone, and somehow it works where it tells you how much exposure you've had. And being that our hands are always the closest thing to our torch, especially if you have a shield, you know what I'm saying? So I'd be really curious to see, because I'm sure our hand exposure, potentially if you have a mole or something on your hand, you're just going to turn into skin cancer, or you don't have anything and you still get skin cancer. So I'm kind of curious. I want to look at this stuff. I'm actually want to contact one of these companies and see about bringing them on the show and talking about it, and maybe get a trial, run at their product, just because it could be something beneficial for us down the road. I mean, hell, with Fitbit now, everybody's got a Fitbit. Why not have this bracelet that you wear for keeping an eye on your UV exposure?
Dude, I think that'd be a great idea. Yeah, I think that'd be great. And there's another one of those things of like shifting the marketing, right? Like, I think that'd be a great tool for all of us. Like Mountain Glass should carry it, you know, like a version for us. Like it could even be cool, whatever. You can have a different design for it.
Yeah, even thinking now, dude, like the old hypercolor shirts back in the day, like in the 80s and the early 90s, that would change you out in the sun,
Oh, right.
Have a shirt, like the more exposure you get, the more your shirt changes. It's like, oh shit, I need to take a break. I'm getting too much exposure.
Oh, yeah. I actually, speaking of that, and a little plug for my girlfriend, she talked me into getting dry fit t-shirts. Have you ever heard of that?
Is it like the oh, go on, tell me about it. I know
it's a different material than cotton, and it's like for working out. And I started wearing them out in my shop, and I swear, like, I can handle an extra 10 degrees out here without a problem. Like now 90 feels fine.
Nice.
Like it made a huge difference. But the other day I actually did kind of what you're saying for the challenge. I have one of these True Value, thermometers you stick on the window,
Mm-hmm.
and so I hung it on the collar of my shirt while I was working, and it peaked out at 120, and so
Yeah.
yeah, it just kind of went like I heard it go pop, and I was like, okay, I should probably take this off now. I don't need, shit pouring on me, but
Right.
so yeah, 120, no problem in here for
Yeah.
sure.
Fuck, man. I know the nights going into my shop at 10 o'clock at night and it's 120 degrees that the kiln's reading when it's off. It's
Right.
it's so
Right.
it's so ridiculous. And I mean, we're standing inside of an oven, so it's
Oh,
not
yeah.
healthy. We're cooking ourselves on the inside out, real slow, like a rotisserie chicken.
And it's so hard to like actually switch to doing the night shift. I see a couple guys on Facebook on Torch Talk like
Hmm.
posting like, all right, switching to the night shift, and it's like, man, I wish I did that. Like, but I don't know. For some reason, I can deal with it, and like, I don't know. I get 20% of my work done during the day, and then 80% after the sun goes down. Anyways, why the hell am I sitting in here cooking?
I agree, bro. I used to get up at like 5, and then
Yeah,
I'd be on the torch by 6:30, work until noon. And I've already got 6 hours in for the day.
totally.
And then the same thing. The family, we do dinner and whatever, and then I go back out there for 2 or 3 hours just to maybe do prep for the next day or finish the earlier stuff or make a custom, or whatever. Because
Now,
it's not healthy being up all night like that.
right, right. Would you shut your kiln off then after your first session of the day and then like let it cool off, and or would you leave it running all day?
Yeah, depending on what it was, honestly. Most of the time I would leave it running.
Yeah.
I turn
Right,
it down to
right.
like 1050 just because I usually run my kilns around 1080, and
Okay.
so I would just turn it down to like 1050, depending on what I was making as well. Especially with some of these new colors, I don't like sitting in kilns for too long or too many cycles.
Right.
But then there's times where I'll plan it out to where like I'll make something in the morning so that by the time my next shift starts, it's more or less cooled off enough to where I'm not worried about it stressing it out. And then I'll do like if a lot of times too with like my old production days, like there was times where I was doing wrap and break spoons where I wouldn't even put them in my kiln. I wouldn't even turn my kiln on at all. I would just throw them on my bench, or or have like a bucket of vermiculite. And then end of the day, I would then load them up on my kiln and turn my kiln on and run a full cycle.
Totally. Hell
And,
yeah.
batch anneal them and stuff. But that was also
Nice.
back again when I was getting away with shit that I can't now.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Nice. Nice.
Yeah, it's funny.
Sweet deal. Sweet
Yeah,
deal.
dude. So, are you looking at with your branding stuff, or you think you're going to using those bake-on labels for your own branding, like your own name on your glass at all, or are you really just kind of keeping it incognito in a sense?
I've kind of been going back and forth about it. Like, um, there is an advantage to have a little bit of a name, right? Like, I've seen on some of these posts, like, yeah, I'd pay that if you had a name, like otherwise I'm not going to buy that floating recycler from you for that amount of money.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, so in some senses, I'm thinking about trying to brand myself a little bit more. And also listening to all these guys like Gary Vee saying, freaking brand yourself. Um, but at the other side of it, like I am like, what I don't like about it is like you're saying, like some colors don't like the repeated cycles. And it's like, I would have to cycle these things again by putting a bacon on it, right? So it's like sometimes I'm a little sketched out about it. Like I don't want to lose a couple rigs because I recycled them. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like, so I don't really know where I'm at with that yet. I mean, the other thing, the like with Promo Pipes is the company I run for the branding, and incognito. Yeah, pretty much. Like that's I don't know. I like to push it so that it's like you're the ones that are going to get the marketing from it. Like I'm trying to help you with a marketing tool.
Yeah,
You know,
exactly.
I don't need it for myself. Like some people are like, well, why don't you put your name on it too? And it's like, because that's going to that defeats the value that the value prop that I'm giving the dispensary.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with it.
Yeah, it's smart. Well, I know for years and I still think about it even now is like going to like local bars and just saying, "Hey, I'll sandblast your logo on your glasses for 25 cents a glass or some shit, or 50
Right.
cents or $1 a glass, on their beer glasses." Just travel with my sandblasting set up in my back of my car or truck or whatever, and just do it right there on their location. And not as a way to market myself, but just to, making a couple extra bucks, helping them brand their
Totally.
glasses.
Totally. That's a good idea. Hell yeah.
And thanks, man. On the pricing wise too, what were some of the prices you were getting for the bacons?
For the bacons, I was starting at like, and it was a little rough. 550 all in, like with all the artwork and the label and the hitter. You know, and that's when you order 100, and then it would go down to $3.50 if they ordered 1,000. Because I mean, like we were just saying, like when you order 1,000 decals, it's affordable.
Yep.
You order 100, it's gonna rape you. But you know, so that was doing okay. But then now that we're doing this new, like we're doing 350 for 100, one color as like a sample starter kit, and it seems like people are liking it. Did an email blast over the weekend, and people are coming back. You know, we've had a good response so far. So,
Rad. What kind of
yeah.
oneys are they? Like a 12 mil pinch or something like that?
12 mil rollout.
Yeah.
You know, so yeah, just a little restriction in there with a dot, and yeah,
Hell
it's a
yeah.
little really basic. You know, I mean, and also I'm trying to like, you know, all these connoisseurs these days. It's like, you know, why not? You know, if you got some really sweet sour diesel or whatever, it's probably too old of a name now, Chem Dog or whatever. Like, why not give a piece when they buy a half ounce from you, and like now they can actually taste your product like pure.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know, it's like I don't know, when you go to the wine tastings, it's like you have a glass for each bottle of wine.
Yep.
There's a reason for that, you know, like the flavor doesn't mix. And, you know, everybody's got a dirty pipe, but why not give your kids like, you know, give your customer a brand new pipe to really see what your product's about, you know? And
Yeah.
so really that connoisseur level. And it's funny because you think of a connoisseur, you think of somebody, you know, nose in the air, like super expensive pipe. And it's like, no, this $3 freaking hitter is your real connoisseur piece. Like, true flavor. So
Yeah.
that's what I'm trying to picture with it.
Yeah. The old
But
flavor savers.
right, exactly. Oh yeah, oh yeah. Nice.
Yeah, that's are good. Yeah, man, it's smart, and they're if the shop's paying $3.50 for them, fuck, man, it's pennies on the dollar for them in the long run. Especially with I'm sure the profit margins they have when they're selling their medicine.
Dude, yeah. And I broke it down. It's like a gram costs them about $3.50. You know, like
Mm-hmm.
$3.50 to $5, and they're giving those away anyways. So, you know, what's the difference? Like give something away that's actually gonna brand their name rather than like the baggie that gets thrown out when they're done using it, you
Yeah,
know?
exactly, absolutely. Yeah,
Oh yeah.
I agree. So what are you paying for the labels?
$2
Yeah,
at $2.25 at 100.
yeah.
So like, I mean that's why. Yeah, I'm not. My margins are the same. Like that's how you know. I don't know, man. I'm a no bullshit guy. Like my margins are the same at 1,000 versus 100, and so I keep my price as low as I can that way. Some people, you know, see it as $5.50. It's like, well, dude, like I can't do any better than that when you want four colors.
Mm-hmm.
Like, sorry, like one color we can do better. So yeah, that's kind of how that's going.
Yeah, well, and the one is they may cost you a nickel to make, and material cost, and if you got your apprentices, they're the ones hopefully cranking those guys out, huh?
Oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah,
And it's 8 cents. Well, we're also using shot 12 mil for that.
cool.
So like it's actually like 8 to 10 cents
Yep.
a piece. And then yeah, I mean they do them for me for $1, you know, and like they're able to make a little bit of money that way. And you know, it's like it's a great way for them to be able to start out, you know,
Oh,
start
dude.
being able to pay the stuff.
Yeah, I agree. I think doing constriction bats is a great way to learn. It really teaches you your heat base, how to focus heat on one space, how not to burn yourself, how to use your marver pads. I mean, everything. There's so much involved in it.
Using your torch, you
Yeah,
know, like
it's
yeah, dude. And this one kid was learning spoons, and he was a little bit strapped on money, and I got him an order of 1,000 bats, and like he kept doing them and like stayed focused, got them all done in like 2 weeks or whatever, about a week and a half. And he goes to do a spoon, and he comes over to me right after. He's like, dude, I can make a spoon now. I'm like, yeah, dude. Like, you know, you're learning.
it's
Like,
so
I
true.
didn't think it would help. Like, I'm like, yeah, it does. Like, there's, you know, I feel like, you know, Rosberg glass, like Ryan used to talk about glass being like a female, and like you have to get to know it, and you can't be pushy with it. You have to learn to work with it, and like that relationship as it grows, you can really create these crazy things. And like I don't know. I think about that all the time. It's like
No, I
you're
agree.
building a
Dude, I
relationship with plants, no matter what.
totally. Yeah, I completely agree. And that's what I think is so fucked up and weird and fun about glass. It's like there's so many different like philosophical ideas you can pull out of it that really pertain to our life, from having to be on
Right.
center, for things
Hmm.
to go properly and flow evenly and be consistent, and also like dude, I talk to my torch like it's a dirty, freaking filthy whore sometimes, you know. But I will never call her a bitch. That's like the one thing. Like, I'll talk dirty to her, like in my glass and stuff, you know. Say all kind of vulgar stuff, but I will not, you know, I will never call her a bitch because that's
And
when
how many times have you had a bad day and you go and you're working with glass and you're being pissed off at the glass and it cracks?
every time.
Like, right. And like, I don't know. Back when I was, like I was saying, I kind of ended up in the hospital a couple times. But one of those times I thought that I was feeling this anxiety go out of my hand into the glass and then seeing it crack. That might sound completely nuts, but like, I don't know.
No,
I just
dude.
remember thinking,
I completely agree. There's been times where I'm like thinking it like, all right, you motherfucker, don't crack on me. And then, you know, it breaks in 5 pieces. Like, it's crazy. You know, it's like when with physics, you know, it's like you can change an experiment by just looking at it kind of idea. And there were so many times my friends Josh and Dave have Zen Glass here locally in town. And I probably 5 or 6 different times I'd be sitting there talking to Josh or just watching him. And then at the very end of his thing, it would break. I'm like, dude, I am not coming anywhere near you. So, like, if I go to their studio now, if he's in the middle of making something, I will have my back turned to him. I won't even look over in his way because I'm afraid I'm going to break his shit. Just from looking at it, you know. So right, funny. Totally. But like you're saying, too, with the whole female thing, you know, it's like I always kind of laugh at myself. I'm married, happily married. I love my wife and everything. But I still think about, like, if a woman that sees a glass artist, you know, a burly man with a full beard and crazy dreadlocks that's like very delicate and precise with their glass, if she thinks about how they are in bed, you know, because of how detailed and how conscious, and you know, it's such an intimate thing with your materials and your glass, and you're so focused on it, and you're like, you know, you have to be gentle. You can't just be rough and crazy, you know. You got to have like this really nice fine-tuned little touch. And you wonder, it's like, man, I wonder if that's how he is in bed. You know?
Hey, I mean, yeah, if we're using our hands all day, right?
Yeah.
So.
You know, not to be the, you know, douchebag here on the air, but it's true. You know, it's like it all carries over. We're artistic, we're all crazy as fuck, but it's like when you come into your torch and your glass, it's like an intimate situation. So, and again, it carries over into our life. Like, if you're an asshole to your glass, you're probably an asshole in life too.
Right. Right. And your glass probably doesn't even respect you too much.
Yeah.
I mean,
yep. Yeah, totally. Yeah, because it's like one of those things too. Like a woman, when you try to control them, they bitch slap you, and then your glass the same way. You try and control it, it'll crack and burn you every single time.
100%. You know? Yep.
I love it. Keeps me in check. Yeah, between my glass and my wife, man, I walk a straight, narrow path.
Have to. We have to.
Yeah, sometimes. Most of the
time. Yeah. I mean, all the time except for a couple. Right.
Yeah, I'm still human.
No worries.
With a man in exclamation quotations and capital letters at the end of that.
Right. Yeah.
You know, it's awesome. Hell yeah, dude. So, what was it? There was something else I was wondering. Oh yeah, trade show stuff. So have you gotten into any trade shows or gotten your glass to the trade shows yet?
You know, I was kind of represented at a couple different spots in Madison last year, through my distributor and then through a shop that had a booth. But you know, I've honestly, like, this is kind of where, like, I was working with a teacher in the beginning and I had that direction, and then since then I've been so on my own. Like, I'm nervous to do it, you know, and so I haven't actually pulled the trigger and gotten my own booth. You know, like I was also saying, it's like my cases are filled and then they're empty.
Yeah.
And, you know, like, so I don't know. I would like to do Madison at some point. It's local. It's right here, and I'm going to be going there this year too, just to hang out. But no, I haven't done a trade show yet myself.
Yeah, I've been in the same boat because, like, I know back in the day when I was had a catalog together and I had a couple guys under my belt. I think I was the same way. I had 3 guys under me, and like we were sitting and doing the math, and it was like, damn, you know, if we actually got, like, I think we put out like 10,000 flyers or some shit, you know, across the country, and if we had like even just like 1% of those shops hit us up, are we going to be able to handle that volume? You know, we had like 20 styles that we were creating. I mean, I see your work. You got a bunch of styles you're doing. So it's like you can shoot yourself in the foot by going to a trade show and getting all these fucking orders. Next thing you know, you're a year and a half backed up, and these shops aren't going to be waiting a year and a half for your glass. They may wait 6 months, but you know, that's about it. They usually wait till like the next trade show. So I agree, man.
6 months later, when, you know, you're ready to send it to them and they're like, wait, I already have them, you know, like, I don't need yours anymore. And it's like, oh, great.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, that's kind of why, like, I'm in this place where, like, I'm trying to bring these 3 kids underneath me up to a point where they can do that lower level stuff, and they're here consistently. Like, we get them out of their jobs, so that they're in here, 40 hours, plus obviously. But then at that point, I'd be able to handle that stuff. Like otherwise, I can't handle it all myself.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, when you get into to scaling your business like that, it's tricky, man, because like besides the initial investment, we have the options and opportunities out there to get our work out there to scale our businesses, to bring people in and have a production studio. But it's like, again, do you really want to go that big with it? Next thing you know, you're having to look overseas for help.
You mean like that one CEO that came out publicly finally?
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah.
I can't believe how long he's been lying to everybody.
Yeah.
But anyways,
Yep.
yeah, I'd love to smash his name, but it's okay.
Yeah, we all know.
Yeah, exactly. It just pissed me off because he actually competed with me directly with my product, with that promo pipes thing, and so a little salty there. But anyways, but no, I wouldn't mind going bigger in the sense of like, but I guess like I hear so many shops like having problems and having issues, and like any shop that gets too big, implodes or whatever. And it's like, but then listening to these guys again, like Gary Vee and everything, it's like, I hope that I'm a manager, that I hope that I have the managing skills that can keep things together. Cause I think that's what the bigger shops lack. And that's why they don't last,
Yeah,
and like,
absolutely.
So that's my goal, is to kind of grow with that as well.
Yeah, man.
Because, I wouldn't mind having 10 guys in a shop that like all get along and like everybody's making money. It's like, what Jerome Baker and what's it called, Degenerative Art talked about. It's like, dude, we got all these guys and they all got insurance, they're all paying their bills, they all got money. It's like, this is great, we're all making money together. And it's like, why not?
Yeah, I agree, absolutely.
It's the only way we can compete with China anyways.
Yeah, exactly. And speaking of that, man, it drives me nuts because like there's no reason that our shops, any shop, should be buying from China shit. There's enough new glass blowers out there that could be making this China killer shit, the $5, $10 production spoons. Like you're saying, you got $15 spoons selling all fucking day long. Right. It's crazy.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
But yeah, man, I was gonna suggest too on the like the leadership side of things. Dave Ramsey has a podcast that they do, Entree Leadership, and it's a great podcast. A lot of it's it's all about leadership and learning how to be a leader and how to delegate and all that kind of stuff. Because I know myself, in my past, I'm a type A personality. I'd like to do it all myself, but I'm also learning how to delegate and how to be a leader. And just over the past year, I did a little experiment with myself. I cut back out with Disney so I can open up my own facility and have my own studio and maybe rent space out and stuff. But because I wasn't just focused on that, I was focused on a couple different things at once, including getting this podcast going. It went to shit, and it would slowly. It got to a point where end of this last month, we closed the doors and came home. And which is a good thing because there's less stress to worry about right now. But that being said, if I would have just understood leadership and delegating and just focused on just that thing, like it seems like what you're doing, like you're just focused on your entity of your business, of your glass studio. So, which is good, you're not being dragged around in 4 different areas. But
that's what I do all the time, and that's what I'm trying to. My dad's been telling me, like, his big word is, for one, determination, and his second word is focus. And it's like focus, like, and that's what I'm struggling with up until recently, like last month or two, and then we end up talking, and it's like everything, when I am focused and have that direction, it sounds like you kind of found yours with Disney and the podcast. It's like now your life feels more fluid, like right, correct, and like that's kind of what I'm experiencing, is like when I stop looking at all the shiny things that I could find all over the place and I stick to my torch, things work out, and like it's that synchronicity, that universe stuff. But
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I hear like a lot of the big money folks out there, the investors, they talk about, like, there's a term they use, but it's like, missing out on the next big thing, or missing out on an opportunity. And it's like, you have to say no or just turn the shit off and not even pay attention to it. Because it is so easy to have all these ideas and opportunities come up. I mean, fuck, dude, I get like 5 of them a day when I take a shower,
Totally.
It drives me crazy.
Right.
And I'm taking notes and whatever else, or if I listen to a show, like I'll have a podcast going on when I'm in the shower or taking a dump or whatever, and it's like, I'm like, oh my God, that's fucking amazing. I have this new idea. And then I spend 6 months on it. Next thing I know, I'm $10,000 in debt and fucking my wife's divorcing me and everything else to process. It's stupid.
Dude, totally. I had you're making fun of Pokemon Go, but I had mine yesterday. It was like I saw this post of a dude having a bumper sticker or a handwritten note on the back of their car that said frequent stops with like a Pokeball thing next to it or whatever. And I was like, dude, I gotta make bumper stickers. Like, what if I just made bumper stickers? I just make them and just sell them and just get back to my torch. Like, that could be easy. And it's like, dude, just shut up and get back to your torch.
Right.
Like, just like, get off.
Like I was saying, I was telling you when we first started about me wanting to make signs for podcasters for their doors, for their room that
Right,
they
exactly.
record in. Like I don't have time for that shit. My daughter has time for it. I need to get her on the computer and have her make it for me.
There you go.
Again, delegating.
Yep.
And I think
Nice.
the delegation part too, because I know a lot of us that are glass artists are control freaks. And at the same time, and we want to do it ourselves. And to be able to let it go and like you're doing, taking people under your belt and having them do things for you, and trusting that they're going to do it the proper way, but also knowing that if they don't, you can fine tune them so that they do. Again, going back to the packing your orders, it's important to have them pack your stuff so you know how your glass is packed.
Totally.
There was
Yeah.
Oh, go on.
Oh, I was just gonna say, like, that's kind of why, like, some people ask me, like, why do you have, like, or like, would you take on somebody that's been on a torch for a year? And it's like, maybe, but like, I'd rather work with the new guy, like, totally fresh kid, because they don't have the ego that's involved, and like, they're willing to like listen to, hey, that restriction, it's only 1 mil, like that's too small, like it needs to be 3 mil, and they're okay, cool, and like they're willing to work with that, like, whereas someone with an ego, they're not gonna be able to handle that. So
Yeah, dude. Yeah, like I listened to when I had Box Fan on, and he was saying like with their studio, they hire retired veterans and stuff because for one, they're disciplined, and two, they are hardworking motherfuckers. They're good. Their studio's up at 5 o'clock in the morning, and his whole crew is there at 5 a.m. 0500, they're probably there at 4:45 a.m. You know what I mean?
totally.
It's that whole if you're on time, you're late, kind of deal with them, and it's important. Or going back to what's his face was talking about, hiring chefs and people that work in kitchens because they understand dealing with the heat and dealing with that crazy environment. It just makes total sense to go outside of the box of bringing people on board that may or may not have creativity, but I don't think to be a glass artist you have to have artistic bone in your body. It's just there's a lot of technique and technical ability. If you have hand skills, that's what it comes down to.
I think that's our biggest secret. It's like it's such a mathematical art.
Yep.
Like when you're doing 8 lines, 6 lines for your wrapping rakes or whatever, like readies or whatever. It's like it's all math, and like we're just kind of secret about that. Nobody knows about it. So
and that's my
don't tell
favorite.
anybody.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's our little secret.
yeah, keep it to us.
Yeah, that's my favorite. One of my favorite things with glass too, like talking with guests at Disney, is like they're always asking what my kiln is. They assume it's a fridge I'm putting it in, and I always laugh. I'm like, it's actually quite the opposite. And then I start to explain to them why we do it, and then I get into the talk about math and science and the little bit of engineering and architecture that's involved in it, and so much things that are involved in it besides being an artist. I mean, I think being an artist can be hindering sometimes because we're just, as artists, we're a little crazy. We're like, even though mathematicians and scientists are probably crazy in their own way, but it's fun. But like the other class I took last year was with Peter Muller and Joe Peters together, and they kept referring to the next move, and I had heard the term before but never really paid attention to it in glass. And like they did a couple drawings, and Joe had what they were going to be making for the day, and then they sat there and they planned out what the plan of attack was going to be, and it made total sense to really sit out there, because I do that myself, but not in the sense of like a chess match. Like, okay, what's the next move going to be? You can't do this without doing this, and if you do this, this is what's going to happen. Checkmate, you lose, piece cracks, your day's over with, kind of deal.
Totally.
So it's it's an interesting philosophy thinking about that, And again, glass going into our life, it's pretty wild. I was actually just on a podcast recently. Sonia Paz has one called the Rockstar Entrepreneur, I think it's called, and yeah, she's all about marketing and business and art as well. And she was asking me, my talk was about perseverance with being an artist, but just in life in general, and how glass has taught me a lot more about getting over obstacles and dealing with life's obstacles and art obstacles and business and all the other stuff. So it's fun how it carries over. And if you're not willing to be a student and learn, then you might as well just go get a job at McDonald's.
Oh yeah, and I think that, I had one apprentice that is like super artistic, and like he had a really, really hard time doing production,
Mm-hmm.
like it's kind of like, I mean, I think the most spoons that he did that were the same was like 20 mushroom spoons for me one time for an order. And like, but he couldn't do it. After he'd do two spoons, he'd be like, dude, I want to try something different. And it's like, all right, like it's kind of like, learning the foundation, then breaking the rules is kind of,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I feel like that's how our art works here. Like,
Yeah, I agree. And it's funny you
unless
say
you
that.
got money.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I agree. And I think that's part of some of the issues out there in the industry.
Yeah, totally.
Some of the trust fund kids. But
Hmm.
I know like when I first started doing the stuff, I was with the Renaissance Festival, and my master, he was like the same way. Like I was making, we called them dragon tears, and it was just like a filigree cane or a radicello cane that we just drop it down like a teardrop, and then make the tear pointy part the loop on top type of deal. And I was making them one at a time, and he's like, "What the fuck are you doing?" I'm like, "I'm making these tears." They were taking me like 20 minutes a piece. We were selling them for like 75 cents a piece, you
Oh,
know.
Jesus.
And I was making like $5 an hour at the time or something like that. He was paying me, and
Right.
he's like, "No, do it this way." And then he like took a big piece of 16 mil, decorated the whole fucking thing, and we made like 50 out of one rod. He's like, "This is how you do a production." And at the same
Yep.
time, I was working at Subway, and so I'd worked at Subway for like 7 years before doing glass, and I transitioned out of Subway into my glass life. But it made so much more, like that connection with my job at Subway made so much more sense, because at Subway we were doing productions and making
Right.
sandwiches all day. We did all of our preps, all of our meats and cheeses and shit, like pulling points and stringers in the morning. And
Yep.
then everything was weighed out, everything was very precise. And then it came to be lunchtime for 3 hour rush. And we had an awesome team that worked together. We had 5 of us that were there for like 3 years or something like that. And we were making like 120 sandwiches an hour. Like we were one of the
Right.
highest volume stores in the area here. But taking that knowledge and then going into my glass with it made so much more sense once he was like, "Hey, do it this way." And I was like, "Well,
Mhm.
sweet." Now I'll sit in the morning, even still today. This last week I've been making flower vases at work, and I'm pulling points. We don't have any blowpipes, so I'm not going to make, can't do blowpipes. But the guests are like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "Oh, I'm pulling a point, and this is how you do production and be consistent." And I'm explaining to them, blowing through the tube and stuff. But dude, 17 years of doing this shit, I'm still pulling points. It's
Good. Totally. And my boy Saturn Glass, he's starting to do these IOs, and like he's like, well, how big should I break them down? And like how I do things is I break my tube in half, I break it in half, I break it in half, and then I split that part in two. And so if I want a bigger pipe, then I'm going to go to another size tube rather than adding more glass so that I have consistency.
mm-hmm.
So, and like I was like, what do you do when you're working on 25? He's like, well, I break it down in a half, blah, blah, blah. I was like, well, do the same thing. And he's like, oh, wow. Like, I don't know, just consistency is huge.
Yeah.
That's the name of the game.
Yeah, it makes total sense. Yeah, and you got to have like when you're doing your stuff like that, do you weigh out like the material itself, so specifically, like you're saying, like your freaking oneies cost you 10 cents or whatever. Like,
Right.
do you break it down by weight, or do you break it down by like length and price wise?
By length. Yeah, I break it down by length, and like even with these oneies, like they're the same model. I use the same model no matter what tube I'm on.
Mm-hmm.
So I never have to weigh it to see if it's the same because I'm using the exact same amount of glass.
Yep. Yep.
So I don't know, I'm a math guy like that, I guess.
Yeah, me
But
too. Yeah, no, I'm glad kind of a backstory with you and I when you reached out about the. And I still haven't. I got to a point on the podcast where I haven't listened to it all the way through. I know my show notes were good, but the verbal part about
gross
talking
and
about the
net.
gross and net thing, yeah. And I got to go back and make sure I didn't say it the wrong way, so I can change it if I did. But yeah, it's so important, man, when you're figuring your shit out to get that baseline cost. And if you can do it at the very beginning before you even get into production, it's going to help you price your workout. It's going to help you be consistent. It's going to help you figure out how much waste you may potentially have, or maybe not have any waste at all because you're not wasting your time or your materials on
Right.
figuring shit out. It's so important. And a 5-foot tube or a 4-foot tube, say 48 inches, it costs you $8 for the tube. Break it down by the inch.
Right.
It's so easy to do. It's just to take the time to sit down and do it. And I'll sit here and preach about it all day. I don't always necessarily practice that, but I have in the past when I was doing full production stuff.
Right.
So it's definitely important for anybody that's getting started or doing production. If you're not familiar with baseline costs, Google it, or just think about how you want to break your numbers down. If you have a 4-inch wrap and rake spoon, figure out, okay, this is how much color it takes to make it. Weigh that shit out or measure it out, whatever you got to do. And then time yourself. I always say when you do like points, for instance, to pull 2 points and then use one of those points to make your piece. And if it's the right length, then you save the first point and write sample on it and what it is going to be made for, and don't ever do anything with it. Just keep it in a box as a reference. And it's always nice to have, like, I know people are struggling, but sometimes you got to keep samples on you. So you always have a sample of what you made, so you know your styles. We used to take a piece of cardboard and take a little zip tie it to there and write the catalog number, the formula next to it on how much it was being used into it, how much the actual piece weighed at the very end of the process. Because I had a distributor that would weigh my shit out. Like, he'd come by, and if he ordered 500 pipes off me, literally, bro, we would go through and he would weigh every fucking one out. It drove me nuts. I would go through and weigh them out first and take all the super heavy ones out and put them to the side and keep them for myself, because that's how he wanted every one done. He's like, if they don't weigh this much, I want a cheaper price. I'm like, okay, I understand. It really taught me some of he was a bit of a hard ass, but he paid my bills for 5 years and taught me a lot of these foundations for the glass world, the dog eat dog world that is the glass world. It's interesting.
And like you're saying, I mean, and there's the one half of like, you'll actually know what it costs you, and the other half is like, if you go into a shop and you got 20 wrapping rakes and they span from 3 inches to 6 inches, and the guy doesn't want, the shop only buys 3 of them. It's like, it's because they were inconsistent.
Mm-hmm.
Like 9 times out of 10, that's why. Like, if they're consistent, they're gonna take them all.
Yep.
Like, I don't know. I love that feeling when I open the case and like, shop looks at my apprentice's work and they're like, okay, I'll take all those wrapping rakes. Like, they don't have to pick them up. They just see that they're all the same exact size in the case.
Yep.
It's gone.
Yep.
Like, hell yeah.
Yeah, it's fantastic. And those guys, man, they're fortunate to have you under their belt or over their belt, whatever that would
whatever
be.
It is.
Them under your wing.
I appreciate that. Hey, it was given to me that way. Like Ron Glass, like, dude, he took me out of nowhere, and like, I mean, he was like, I've learned more about life behind the torch than Glass itself. Like, I'll never forget him talking to me and saying like, don't be ashamed of where you came from, because like I really wanted to be a Coloradoan at the time.
Mm-hmm.
I was young and stupid, and I don't want to be from Chicago. And like, it's like, dude, like, be proud of where you came from. And like, that shit stuck with me, like, I don't know, man. I was just brought up the right way, and
yeah.
Yeah,
it's important, man. I have worked out so many issues behind my torch. I mean, I've been behind my torch in tears where I couldn't even see what the fuck I was doing because I was just having a breakdown or some shit going on. Or, like when my grandfather passed away, it took me about 3 days, to get back on the torch. And when I did, I worked all that shit out on the torch, just getting through it all. I mean, you got to do what you got to do. It's such a meditative practice. Like, I hear people, like you talking about, these guys out there, the Gary V's and stuff, talking about the meditation practices a lot of these big guys do nowadays, which is awesome to hear it. But as a glass artist, it is a meditative practice. The repetition of doing something focused over and over and over again, it's a meditative practice. And there's nothing more amazing, dude, than like finishing up a piece and all of a sudden you're like, oh my God, where the fuck am I at right now? Like, you forget that you're in your studio and you're your house. You went down some weird path, black hole fucking thing. And it's like, it's such an amazing feeling to get that focused into something and to leave your body for 20 minutes even while you're making something. And then all of a sudden you come back. It's like, man, it's crazy. And especially when you're sober doing it, it's even better.
Hell yeah. Like, I was doing, not my first one, my second floating recycler, because the first one I was stressed as shit. And then once I figured out how it all goes together, the mechanics, like, I'm making it, and like, I go inside at like 11:30 and like, it's all dark in my house. My girlfriend's sleeping on the couch. I'm like, what time is it? Like, I don't know. It was, get lost.
Mm-hmm.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
I actually started recently doing a little meditation in the morning, and kind of like looking at, just taking a minute to sit out in my backyard, like listen to the trees, listen to the wind, and like just think about like what I have coming up for the day. And like, I don't know, it's really kind of changed my game. It's only been a couple weeks of doing it, but like, I've really found that like not going straight in the shop, like taking a minute to breathe before I get into the shop, like, it's really helped a lot.
Hell yeah. Definitely. Well, I'm glad you said that, man, because I've been myself doing the same thing. I started using the BrainSpace, I think it's called, app on my phone to help get myself into that mindset of and practice. I'm a very practice type person, if I have routine wise. So getting in that routine, and it's like I lay in bed and I usually fall asleep pretty easily, but like to be able to lay in bed now and just like walk myself through a really quick breakdown of a meditation practice to where I can go to sleep and I'm immediately out. And I sleep like a fucking log now. I'm not thinking about all kind of other shit going on or worried about anything. I'm in the moment. I'm relaxing, taking my breath, feeling myself falling asleep, relaxing, and then boom, I'm out. And I need to get back in the habit of doing it in the morning now, like you're saying. Like I just need to pick a little spot out in my backyard and just get my day started. Because there's nothing worse than, like, my habit is getting up. I make my coffee. I feed my dogs. The wife gets up. The kids get up, whatever. And then I put the news on. And it's like the worst thing I could do in the morning is have the fucking news going. Like, I'm curious about traffic and stuff before my drive to Disney because it's like an hour and a half long drive. But, and I'm waking up and I'm hearing someone got raped and shot and killed and the house burnt down and kid drowned in the pool or got eaten by an alligator at Disney. I mean, whatever fucking going on. It's like, man, I hear that shit. Start my day off with that. Makes me want to have a drink of beer or something right away, like 8 in the morning. Like, fuck, man, I gotta hide from this shit.
Hell yeah. The other thing that that Rowan class used to do is Tyrell used to do is he'd come in the shop and the first thing he'd do is clean his bench.
Mm-hmm.
And like that's what I was taught to do too, like to clean the bench and so that it's clean mind. Like get everything cleaned up and then start my day. And like so those two things are kind of my things for the morning. I haven't been cleaning the bench as much as I should, but yeah, those you should. Have you heard of Waze? Have you heard of the app Waze?
No.
It's a GPS thing, and it's better than Google Maps. It actually tells you where cops are too. And
I have heard about that. Yes, I have.
So there's that way you don't have to listen to the news to hear the traffic. You could just open the Waze. Boom, there you go.
Hell yeah, I'm making a note right now of that.
And it's fun if you got a fun car, then you can see where the cops are and shit. So yeah.
Yeah, I've got a new Prius and I drive like 1,000 miles an hour. Actually, I'm not sure how fast it goes because I've gotten up to 100 and it doesn't go past 100 miles an hour.
Really?
On the thing, yeah, it's weird.
Dude, is it comfortable at 100?
Oh, dude, it feels like I'm going 40.
Oh, really? That's pretty badass.
It's crazy. I had this thing for 3 weeks and I got rear-ended by a dump truck. I mean, literally doing like 65 on the interstate, taking my kids to school. Yeah, the asshole came over. I didn't because it's it's a little fucking Prius. It's bright ass orange. I don't know how he didn't see me, even though it was like sunrise. But he came over and like hit the side of my bumper and kind of nudged the car a little bit. And I was like, what the fuck was that? And I'm talking like 4 lanes of traffic, doing a turn, doing like 65 miles an hour. And all of a sudden I look in my rearview mirror and I got like the grate of the guy's truck is in my, he was so close to me. He couldn't even see me over his hood of his car. And he hit me again and like pushed my car forward. And thank God I had like another car space in front of me. But dude, this car handled like a fucking champ. Like I would recommend these cars to anybody just based on how, literally was hit by a fucking dump truck, and I still got to get it fixed, and it's been like a year just procrastinating, but it's not that visible, so whatever. But anyways, long story short, yeah, man, I love this thing, but not to mention the fucking gas mileage I get. It's awesome new tech. I'm a tech nerd, so I like to have the new technology and shit in my car, and it's fun. But the handling in it, the only thing I find though is like if I'm going up next to semi trucks and the wind, I can feel the wind start to catch the car, and it's a little weird sometimes, kind of like moves around a little bit. But yeah, dude, like if I'm doing 90, 95 in it, I think I'm going 40. It's amazing how it handles.
That's awesome. I never would have thought that about a Prius, but hell yeah, sweet, you sold me.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's the Prius C. It's like a 2015. The newer ones are pretty sweet looking too. The new body styles they have and stuff. But yeah, man, I definitely recommend them. They hold their value. The batteries are like they have like 100-something thousand mile warranty on the batteries and stuff. So it's they're good cars. So, well, yeah, dude. I guess before we keep rambling here, let's take a break to thank our sponsors, and then we'll come back and we'll get our crashing the killing round started.
Sounds good.
All right, cool. Today's podcast is brought to you by Audible.com. Get a free audiobook download and a 30-day free trial at www.audibletrial.com/wiseguy radio. Over 180,000 titles to choose from for your iPhone, Android, Kindle, or MP3 player. That's at www.audibletrial.com, AUDIBLETRIAL.com/wiseguy radio. All right, we're back.
Right on.
Make it nice and easy. So, yeah, man. So the crash and the killing round consists of now 7 questions. I've added a new one. And so basically, if you want to give me a 30 to 60 second answer, and you can expound upon the answers if you would like, as people usually do. And the first question I always like to ask is if there is any living glass artist that you have not worked with before. Who is it and why?
Dude, I've been thinking about this one, and like, I don't know, this might be my 60-second answer. Um, like, there's so many different guys out there, pretty much like each for a different reason. Like Mickelson, because he's just Mickelson. He's been around, Godfather of the industry or whatever. And, definitely Mickelson. And I love his lattice work. Um, Banjo, because he's one of the just chillest people I saw him at Colorado Project and just so not about the hype. Like, he's an amazing guy.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, like Jason Lee and Yushin with their work that they're doing. I mean, I don't know, man. I like to work with everybody. Cold Drink with his flip discs, like Jesus. Punty, but yeah. So there's my long-winded answer.
Hey, it's all good, man.
Oh yeah, I love them all. What can I say?
Yeah. Oh, I hear you. I hear you.
Oh,
So, if you could describe the sound of glass cracking in one word, what is it?
Oh shit. That's it. Just
Perfect.
shit.
Hell
Yep.
yeah. What are your top 5 favorite colors in glass?
Of course, amber purple, slime, the original slime, then acid yellow, um, your standard cobalt, and then clear.
Hell yeah. You ever make
Right.
your own lemon drop out of acid yellow?
No, I haven't. I heard about that though.
Yeah, I did that shit years ago before lemon drop even came out.
Nice.
And I was like, oh, I've been making that shit for years. But it's actually cheaper to buy it. It's just, when it comes down to
Between the
it.
time and everything,
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh, fuck. So, what's your worst injury in the studio?
I've been pretty fortunate. I mean, just some burns and some, you know, nice glass punctures. That's pretty much it. Nothing really too serious yet.
Cool. I'm knocking on wood, dude, because I always feel bad when people say that shit. I'm like, yeah, I'm going to be the motherfucker that curses you. You go there and burn your hand off today later on.
Yeah, right. Oh shit.
Hell yeah. So, do you have any glass blowing themed tattoos?
No, I'm a virgin on ink, but I have it in my head. So, yeah,
Hell yeah. Did you hear that thunder?
eventually. Yeah. Oh wow, was that you?
Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah, it's always
Great.
fun. Too bad it wasn't the lightning round. Have some real thunder and lightning going on in the background.
There you go. Oh yeah.
Yeah, actually, when I used to do the lightning round, the thunderstorm in the background I played was actually from my house. We had this storm that set over my house for like 45 minutes, and it was like 1,000 strikes an hour kind of storm. It was
Wow.
fucking crazy. But it was the first time ever using my recorder to to pick up the sound. It was like I was blown away by just how the clear and quality of the sound was. I was like, I got to use this on my show. But it got to be a point where it was the lightning cracks were too loud. I couldn't balance the sound out. So it was just. Plus, I wanted to have my own thing. I didn't want to have a lightning round like everybody else has.
Right.
So, all
You
right.
could use the beep. You could use the beep of the kiln firing down after a cycle.
Yeah, no shit.
Beep,
Yeah.
Beep beep. Like yeah.
Yeah, there you go. Have to do something.
Sweet.
Hell yeah. And last question is always a fun one. If you were stranded on an island, in any kind of fantasy island of your choice, had a glass studio on it, and only supplied your gases, your kiln, and your torch, and you had to make something in order to survive, a little new thing I'm throwing in there, what 5 items would you bring?
Well, we'll start with the glasses. I've listened
yeah.
to the show a few times. Gonna have to just like let that slide soon.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. Nice. Yeah, I mean, glasses, a nice lathe, like a huge box of sample colors, like every single sample pack that Mountain Glass has, so that I have all the different colors. And my blow hose and my phone, so that I can have podcasts and music and all sorts of stuff, not necessarily to communicate.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah, that's it.
Cool. Hell yeah.
Oh yeah. Sweet.
Yeah, man. So before I let you go, if you want to tell us how we can find you out there in the world of cyberspace, and then also any kind of parting piece of advice.
Oh yeah. So my website, it's I'm a glassblower, not a web designer, but it's www.kaglass.com. Those promotional things are at promopipes.com. On Instagram, it's Crispy's Glass, Krispys Glass, Glass. And yeah, that's pretty much how you find me. And parting words of advice: learn the fundamentals. That's about it.
Hell yeah. And just a real quick side note too, your crispy glass I take comes from Chris Piazza. Is Piazza how you say your last name, or is it Piazza?
Yeah, exactly. Crispy.
Yeah,
Yep,
cool.
Crispy's Glass.
Yeah.
Chris Piazza.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
Dig it.
Sweet. Hey, thanks a lot, man. It's been an honor to be on here.
Hell yeah, man. Appreciate it. Hope you guys enjoy this conversation with Chris and Crispy Glass. You can find him on Instagram and everything else out there. I'll have all of his information in the show notes. And we will see you next time on the Wise Guy Radio Show. You guys take care. See ya. This episode of the Wise Guy Radio Show is brought to you by The Flow magazine. Since its inception, the focus of The Flow has been to provide a bond among members of the lampworking community. In every issue, you can enjoy great content with the hottest artists and cutting-edge techniques using the latest industry products. These features, along with the continuation of our Women in Glass edition, Glasscraft Emerging Artist Awards, inspiring gallery showcases, dynamic general interest articles, as well as health and safety information, make The Flow the leading international lampworking journal. For more information or to subscribe to The Flow, go to theflowmagazine.com. That's theflowmagazine.com. This episode is also brought to you by C-Cube Co. C-Cube now creates a wide range of specialty and one-of-a-kind artistic glassware, items such as hand-blown wine crafts, insulated coffee mugs, pint glasses, and custom piggy banks, plus glass pendants that you can have personalized with imprinting, logos, and color accents that are available. Just go to C-Cube Co., that's SEACUBECO.com for more information. That's ccubeco.com. Thank you guys so much for listening to this episode of the Wise Guy Radio Show. If you have any questions, comments, or remarks, please leave them in the show notes page area where it says comments. We'll see you soon. Have a wise night.